Om Sri Lakshmi Narsimhaya Namaha. Valmiki Ramayana, Yuddha Kanda, Chapter 70. Devantaka, Trishara, Mahodara and Mahaparshva killed. Devantaka, Trishara and Mahodara cried when they saw that Narantaka had been killed. Mounted on a huge elephant, Mahodara rushed towards the valiant Angada. Grabbing a formidable club tipped with iron spikes, Devantaka, who was pained by his brother's death, dashed towards Angada. Riding a chariot as brilliant as the sun and drawn by fine steeds, Trishara also charged at Angada. Being rushed by the three Rakshasa leaders who were capable of crushing the pride of the gods, Angada pulled up a tree with big branches. Angada suddenly hurled a big tree at Devantaka as Indra would his blazing thunderbolt. Trishara shattered the tree with his arrows that resembled venomous snakes. Seeing the tree shattered, Angada jumped up. That foremost of the monkeys then showered trees and boulders. Enraged, Trishara shattered them with his sharpened arrows. Mahodara also shattered those trees with his club, while Trishara rushed upon Angada while shooting arrows. Pursuing Angada on an elephant, Mahodara angrily struck him in the chest with his club, which was like a thunderbolt. The agile Devantaka approached Angada, struck him with his club, and retreated. Although assailed by all three outstanding Rakshasas at the same time, Angada did not feel distrust. Exhibiting tremendous impetuosity, the invincible Angada darted towards Mahodara's elephants and smacked it with his palm. Due to the impact of Angada's hand, the elephant eyes fell out and it died. Pulling out one of the elephant's tusks, Angada charged towards Devantaka and struck him in combat. Perplexed like a tree shaken by the wind, the glorious Rakshasas shed profuse blood the color of red lacquer. Breathing with the difficulty, Devantaka brandishing his iron-spiked club and struck Angada. Although struck with that club and knocked on the ground, Angada jumped back up. As Angada was jumping up, Trishara hit him with three dreadful straight-shooting arrows on the forehead. So it is said. Seeing Angada surrounded by the three outstanding Rakshasas, Hanuma and Nila stepped in. Nila thereupon hurled a mountain peak at Trishara. The latter, however, shattered it with sharp arrows. With all of its boulders and slabs of rock, riven by hundreds of arrows, the mountain peak gave off sparks of flames and then fell down. Overjoyed to see the mountain shattered, Devantaka rushed with his club towards Hanuman. As Devantaka was approaching, Hanuman jumped up and struck him on the head with his fist, which was as hard as a thunderbolt. The mighty son of the wind god struck Devantaka on the head again. By his roaring, Hanuman made the Rakshasas tremble. When Hanuman's fist smashed Devantaka's head, his teeth, eyes and tongue bulged out and suddenly fell dead on the ground. After that enemy of the gods was killed in combat, the furious Trishara showered dreadful sharp arrows against Nila's chest. As the sun climbs Mount Mandhara, Mahodara again mounted on a large elephant. Mahodara showered a rain of arrows on Nila, like a cloud with lightning, a halo of light and a rainbow showering rain on a mountain. Because of the showers of arrows, Nila's limbs were wounded. He thereafter found he could not move his limbs, having been rendered stationary by the mighty Rakshasas. After regaining full consciousness, Nila lifted up a crag with a thicket of trees. Jumping up, Nila forcefully whacked it on Devantaka's head. Crushed by the impact of the crag, Devantaka lost consciousness and fell dead on the ground, along with his elephant. Infuriated to see his uncle dead, Trishara grabbed a bow and pierced Hanuma with sharp arrows. Angered by this, Hanuma hurled a mountain peak. The mighty Trishara shattered it into many pieces with his sharp arrows. Seeing that the mountain had failed, Hanuman hurled a shower of trees at Ravana's son Trishara. The glorious Trishara splintered those trees with his sharp arrows and roared. Jumping up, Hanuma angrily slashed Trishara's horse with his claws, as a lion would claw an elephant. Grabbing his spear like death on the eve of destruction, Trishara hurled it at Hanuman. Catching that spear as it shot through the sky like a meteor, Hanuman broke it and rode. When the monkey horde saw that Hanuman had broken the dreadful spear, they rode jubilantly like a rain cloud. Grabbing his sword, Trishira poked it into Hanuman's chest. Wounded by the thrust of the sword, Hanuman hit Trishara on the chest with his hand. Although very mighty, when hit in that way, Trishara dropped his sword and fell unconscious on the ground. Hanuman snatched the sword as Trishara was falling and then rode, striking fear in the hearts of all the Rakshasas. Unable to tolerate the roaring, the night stalkers again jumped up and struck Hanuman with his fist. Enraged by this, Hanuman caught Trishira by his 3 heads bearing crowns. Hanuman wrathfully severed all 3 heads bearing crowns and earrings with the sharp sword, just as Indra cut off the 3 heads of Visharupa, the son of Twastha. Trishira's head, which had huge eyes, ears, and nose, fell on the ground like stars fallen from the sun's orbit. Their eyes were glowing like fire. When Hanuman killed Trishira, the enemy of gods, the monkeys roared, the earth shook, and the Rakshasas fled in all directions. Seeing that Trishira, Mahodara, Devantaka, and Narantaka, who were difficult to defeat, had all been slain, Mahaparshva became furious. He seized a huge blazing club made of solid steel and plated with gold. It was smeared with the blood of enemies, covered with the foam of flesh and blood. It was shining with splendor like a blazing fire and was decorated with a garland of red flowers. It was the cause of fear for elephants supporting the cardinal points. Wrathfully grabbing the club, which shone like the fire of universal destruction at the end of the age, Mahaparshva dispersed the monkeys. The mighty monkey Rishabha jumped up and faced Ravana's younger brother, Mahaparshva. Infuriated to see him standing there, Mahaparshva struck the monkey in the chest with his club, which was like a thunderbolt. When hit in that way, Rishabha shuddered, and having his chest split, he bled profusely. Regaining consciousness again, after a long time, Rishabha started with quivering lips at Mahaparshva. Rapidly approaching the Rakshasa, Rishabha clenched his fist and abruptly struck him on the chest. Like a tree cut down at its roots, Mahaparshva suddenly fell on the ground, his body drenched in blood. Grabbing hold of that Rakshasa's club, which was like Yamaraja's rod of chastisement, Rishabha roared. For some time it seemed as if Mahaparshva was dead. Regaining his strength, the Rakshasa, whose complexion was like an evening cloud, suddenly jumped up to his feet and struck the monkey. Lying unconscious on the ground for a while, Rishabha regained consciousness and jumped up. Brandishing the Rakshasa's own club, Rishabha struck him in combat. Reaching the chest of that Rakshasa, who was an enemy of the gods, sacrifices, and Brahmanas, that frightful club split it. The Rakshasas thereupon bled as the streams in the Himalayan mountain flow with minerals. Mahaparshva rushed speedily for the club, which the gigantic Rishabha held in his hand. Clenching that club and brandishing it again and again, Rishabha struck the Rakshasa on the front line of the battle. When hit with his own club, Mahaparshva's eyes and teeth were knocked out and he fell on the ground like a mountain struck by a thunderbolt. When the Rakshasas fell unconscious and lifeless on the ground, with his eyes smashed, the Rakshasa army fled. When Ravana's brother was killed, the Rakshasa army abandoned their weapon and fled for their lives, like the ocean overflowing its shore. Thus completes 70th chapter of Yuddha Kanda of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, the work of a sage and the oldest epic. Sri Moola Rama Vijayate. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.